What's poppin'? Back like we never left, and today I have a special video. I'm here to talk about Gilbert Arenas and Kyrie Irving and who's better in their prime. And of course, Gilbert Arenas, his prime is around 04, 05, 06, around then. Kyrie Irving, I think he's currently in his prime. This is the best that Kyrie has ever been. So we're going to evaluate, compare, and contrast and see what player is better in their prime. Now, for me, when I'm evaluating players, I look at the eye test, then I go to the numbers. And off of Gilbert and Kyrie Irving, initially I said Kyrie Irving because he's more recent. There's a lot of highlights there for Kyrie that you just love. But then when you go deeper and you think about it, you gotta say Gilbert, right? So off eye test and just thinking about these players, just off the top without going back, looking at clips, looking at footage, and just thinking back to my memory, Kyrie is more flashy, I think, but Gilbert had probably a higher ceiling. What I mean by that is that Gilbert Arenas was a big shot maker, had hibachi, right? He had it was like a movement. It was like a Jeremy Lin type thing where he had Lin sanity, but Gilbert Arenas did it for like 3 seasons in which every game, he was going to put on a show, right? So that's what I remember from Gilbert. Of course, back then they were battling against the Cavaliers, LeBron's Cavaliers. So that was interesting as hell. So for me, I think I'm leaning towards Gilbert, right? Off eye test. You guys put in the comment section when you first watched this, who are you leaning towards this off eye test? Before I give you the numbers, who are you leaning towards? Of course, I'm going to give you the guys, I'm going to compare their best seasons, not career, because career, I think currently career-wise, I'm probably putting Kyrie over Gilbert career-wise. I think Kyrie, if you had to go over the top players ever, I'm putting Kyrie over Gilbert just because of the number of years he's been great. Maybe. I have to go to numbers for that. But recency bias is crazy, man. Recency bias is crazy. What spawned this video is mainly Facebook, out of all places. I saw on Facebook, something was on my feed saying, who's better in their prime, Gilbert Arenas, Kyrie Irving? It was a picture of Kyrie Irving guarding Gilbert Arenas, which is interesting because Kyrie, that was something people tried to knock him for, his defense. Now we'll see if that was a knock on Gilbert as well. But for the most part, we're going to look at their best seasons for them both, right? And then we're going to compare and just have a quick discussion as far as like who's better based on the numbers that were provided. Of course, I use basketballreference.com and NBA.com for my numbers and my advanced statistics. So you can go there if you want to look at those numbers for yourselves. Capiche? The first player we're going to dive into is Kyrie Irving. We're going to look at Kyrie Irving's statistics for 2016-2017, which was his best year, I think. And then for Gilbert Arenas 05-06, which I think was his best year. Now, I don't just go off of PER, don't just go off of scoring. I look at the entire picture and say, okay, based on this, I think this was your best year. Now, first, I want to say that Kyrie Irving, his best year, the Cavs, they won 51 games and they were number 2 in the East. Whereas Gilbert Arenas, they won 42 games and they were number 2 in their division. So as far as the teams, Kyrie Irving's team was better than Gilbert Arenas' team. Something that kind of factored in was Gilbert Arenas was the best player on his team, while Kyrie Irving was the second best player on his team. Kyrie Irving, of course, played with LeBron James, while Gilbert Arenas, who was playing with like Antoine Jameson. That was the second best player on the Wizards that year. So comparing teams, that's tough because you had LeBron James with you, right? How would Gilbert be if he had LeBron James with him? Another thing I want to talk about as far as MVP race, right? Kyrie Irving at some point was on the MVP ladder, but did not finish with any votes for the MVP. Gilbert Arenas also did not finish with any votes for the MVP, so no players get an edge there. Quick note, Kyrie Irving did not make the All-NBA team in 2016-2017. Gilbert Arenas made the All-NBA team in 2005-2006. So if you want to use that as an edge, that's something that's there for Gilbert Arenas, right? So first, we're going to dive into Kyrie Irving and his numbers. Okay, in 2016-2017, Kyrie Irving averaged 25.2 points per game, 1.2 steals, 5.8 assists, 3.2 rebounds, shot 90% from the free throw line, an overall field goal percentage of 47%. He played 72 games, and again, had a really great year. He even shot 40% from the three-point line, which is pretty fantastic. Looking at advanced stats, Kyrie had a PER of 23.0, 7.4 offensive win shares, and 1.5 defensive win shares. Overall win share of 8.9, a usage percentage of 30.8, and a turnover percentage of 10.3. So offensive win shares, of course, are an estimated number of wins contributed by a player due to his offense. That's win shares in general. So offensive win shares is the win shares contributed by a player due to his offense, and defensive win shares, wins contributed to a player due to his defense. So Kyrie overall had 8.9, and again, a very good season. For PER, basically it's like player efficiency rating, right? And it's a standardized number, and it came out that the efficiency or the average number is 15, and Kyrie was at 23. So that's how much better he was than average in 2016, 2017. I must say in 2017, 2018, he had a PER of 25.0, but I'm not using that because his numbers were a bit down. Efficiency-wise, he was a bit better, but the numbers were a bit down. One could argue that is his best year, but he missed even more games, and some of his field goal percentages were down. So I think 2016, 2017 was better, and then I didn't want to use the first year of him being with the Celtics to evaluate him as a player overall. So thinking back to LeBron, people don't use the first year in Miami to evaluate how good he was. People look at years after that where they feel like LeBron really transcended. So that was my thinking there. So that's why I used 2016, 2017. So keep in mind those numbers where Kyrie is. We're going to jump into Gilbert Arenas now. Gilbert Arenas in 05-06 averaged 29.3 points per game, 6.1 assists per game, 2.0 steals per game, 3.5 rebounds per game, shot free throw percentage of 82%, 36% from 3, had an overall field goal percentage of 44%, played 80 games. Let's go to advanced stats, and Gilbert Arenas with the advanced stats. He had a PER of 23.8. Remember, Kyrie had 23.0. He had offensive win shares of 11.0, defensive win shares of 2.6, overall win shares is 13.6, usage percentage of 30.5, and a turnover percentage of 12.8. Looking at these two numbers, Gilbert Arenas, as far as overall stats, was better than Kyrie Irving. Gilbert Arenas obviously scored more points, averaged more assists, more rebounds, and had a higher PER. He also had more offensive win shares, defensive win shares, and they had around the same usage percentage. So we can't use that as a barometer. Of course, Kyrie Irving in 2017, 2018 had PR of 25.0, like I said, and that's better than Gilbert Arenas has ever had in a season. But just looking at these statistics, in which Gilbert Arenas averaged 29.6 assists, with those offensive win share numbers, averaged 2 steals per game, which Kyrie has never done or even come close to. He's averaged 1.5 a few times, but that's about it. I give it to Gilbert Arenas. I think Gilbert Arenas, his prime currently is better than Kyrie Irving. Of course, we're operating on a different scale where Gilbert Arenas, he's the best player on his team, while Kyrie Irving, he's second best. The reason why I kind of eliminate that is the fact that they have ultimately the same usage percentage. Gilbert 30.5, Kyrie 30.8. So Kyrie even had a higher usage percentage. So for me, guys, I'm giving the edge to Gilbert Arenas. Their primes, I think it shows in everything, the overall number. Again, he even made the All-NBA third team while Kyrie did not. And just a culmination of the two, you have to give the slight edge to Gilbert Arenas. Of course, as a career, it's a different ball game. It's a different discussion. But for right now, I'm giving it to Gilbert Arenas. That was my initial assessment after thinking about it for a while. But guys, let me know what you think. Who you think is better in their primes based on the number I gave you? Do you think it's Kyrie or do you think it's Gilbert Arenas? Let me know your thoughts. Like the video, subscribe to this channel if you have not for more content like this. And I'll catch you guys later. Peace.